Auburn basketball season may be over, but there's still plenty to talk about as relates to the program with the news that Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler leaving to go. We now look to what their futures can potentially be and what that opens up for the future here at Auburn. We're going to be discussing what happens now with the program and the roster. Is it complete? We might have answers as early as tomorrow. That is what's on the table to discuss, and anything and everything that you, the Auburn family, want to discuss on these weekly live streams at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, our live call-in show where you participate, your comments, your questions, your derogatory rebuttal about what you want to discuss within the whole of the Auburn family spectrum. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us, spending some time with us just to talk about what you value most in the whole of the Auburn experience. Right now, as we get started, this is our check-in period. Even if you watch this on the replay, even if you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter, if you're not here on the main place at YouTube, right now, hit the like button, the share button, the retweet button, share it into a Facebook group, all of that. Let's blast it away, bring people in as part of our little family within the Auburn family. Do that now. And you can also, in the chat, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. A lot of you are already doing that, and I appreciate that. You guys know the drill, right? Do that right now in the chat because I don't know who's hanging out with me tonight. And if you're a fan of another persuasion, welcome. You can say hello however you'd like to, as long as it's not an RTR. We get those from time to time. It's a little bit frustrating. I don't know how we keep getting people like that. Anyway, welcome to our Wednesday night live call-in show where we just kind of bounce around a lot of different topics. We'll start at our starting point where I discussed about the Auburn basketball roster. So I'd like to start off with this question, opening up our discussion tonight. Do you think that Auburn men's basketball roster is complete and will be complete or will be complete starting tomorrow? Let's start our conversation with that. Your thoughts, your questions, your opinions about that particular question. Post those right now. Let me say hello to a couple people who've already started popping in with our check-in process. Thomas, good to see you. From Leeds, Brian Fulcher, good to see you. War Eagle, Devin from Texas, probably in the kitchen as well. I don't know if that's ever not going to get me. Dusty, good to see you as well, sir. Appreciate you guys being here. A lot of our regulars, channel members, Booster Club members, you guys are the rocks that produce this content here, help get it off the ground and running, support it, keep the lights on, all of that good stuff. Glad you appreciated that one, Devin. Let me start by answering my own question. The question was, do I think that Auburn basketball, men's basketball's roster is complete? And I guess by extension, will it be complete starting tomorrow? The reason we're saying tomorrow is because of Julian Phillips announcing where his future will be. If you've been following along on social media, there seems to be some indication where he might be going, and that may not be Auburn. Let's just wait and see. I have no information. I have no inclinations as to what route he might be going, but I do go by the turn of phrase, where there's smoke, there's fire, but to what degree? So use that as what you will. But either way, tomorrow there's still one spot open up. If he takes it tomorrow, that's that spot's taken up. The roster's completely full. But even if he doesn't, the question still stands. My answer for that very quickly, in a just wrapping it up kind of sense, yes. Outside of some miraculous situation, I do think that the roster is complete and should be complete outside of some interesting scenarios, and we'll get into those in just a little bit. We got to do a couple other things here to get us started off on tonight. No joke, I'm cooking dinner right now. I just ate dinner, so I'm full. Had some spaghetti. It was amazing. Jessica is an amazing cook. Jessica's my wife. Devin asked the question, can people still transfer out? They absolutely can. But there are penalties, I believe, at a certain point for transferring out and things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. They can, but it may not be their best interest as of this point. Linda, good to see you. Corey also checking in. A lot of our crew is all popping in here right now. Good to see you. By the way, I discovered that not only I think they're done going live, Auburn Live, I think it's the On3 network. I hope they're done. Everybody's trying to go live on Wednesday nights now. And it's real difficult to find a spot to squeeze in these days. I think that they are all done now, but hopefully we'll see some people pop on from over their stream if they haven't completed it already. If you want to call in to the stream tonight, I guess I should have done this a little bit earlier. You can take advantage of the link at the top of the chat right now. It should be up there. Let me double check. It is. Hit that link. You can be on camera or off camera when you hit that link. It gives you the choice. It can just be your voice if you don't want to have your face out there. But I'd love to see some of your smiling faces. I'd love to hear your voices, hear your opinions about what we're talking about. And we can really talk about anything that you, especially if you call in, you kind of drive the conversation. Let's see. Unbeaten Lake. I'm pretty sure Tennessee already committed a violation because I heard someone say, I guess is what that's supposed to say, that Tennessee was using NILs to persuade Phillips. I don't know if you guys have noticed this on the channel. I'm doing something a little different, a little plug here. I hope you guys have checked it out and enjoyed it. I'm doing like short form video podcasts that you can watch here, but also listen on our podcast feed. And I discussed a little bit about the NIL thing. Don't think that Tennessee is the only culprit here. If there wasn't a team taking advantage of it, they probably weren't doing their due diligence, sometimes pushing the boundaries of things like that. I covered a little bit in there. All right, we got our first caller tonight. Let's say hello to him. Mr. Kevin, what's going on, sir? Love the hat. How are you doing?
War Eagle, Cal.
War Eagle to you. I like that hat.
I think Julian Phillips will go to Auburn.
He will go to Auburn. Okay, so tomorrow, I don't know. Does anybody know what time the announcement is? Do you know, Kevin?
Not yet.
You don't know what time the announcement is. I haven't heard what time the announcement actually is set for. I will tell you this: if you've been following on social media, there's a indication that he has been. What we know that he met with the G League, the developmental league for the NBA officials there today. So that seems to indicate people that he's going to go that route. If you meet with them the day before your announcement, that kind of means probably you're signing paperwork and things like that. So I don't want to burst your bubble, but I would prepare yourself not to have Julian Phillips. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Let me rephrase that. It is always great to have oodles and oodles of talent, right? But it may not be the worst thing in the world. So if Julian Phillips doesn't come, Kevin, do you think the roster's complete? Do you think we get anybody else?
We get 2 more people.
Well, we can only get 1 more unless they want to walk on. So we only have 1 more scholarship.
Yeah, 1 more.
Or someone transfers out. Devin pointed out earlier that, that people can transfer out. If Julian Phillips does come, you might see a scenario where some of our guys that have been here for a while that may see less playing time because of that, they might transfer out. And then you could see your second guy.
Yeah.
But I think, unfortunately, Julian Phillips, my opinion, he may not be coming.
How about that wide receiver from Miami Hurricanes?
Yep, DeZalen Worsham, and I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. DeZalen Worsham. I think he is coming into a scenario where everybody has a fair chance at starting at wide receiver. He seems to be a guy that has the talent, but maybe hasn't realized it yet. I haven't watched a lot of Miami tape, but this is my opinion. I'm always happy to, add people to the Auburn family. So I am not going to shy away from welcoming someone in. How do you feel about him?
I think he will do good.
You think he'll do good? Well, like I said, he's got tons of opportunity to do that because, like I said, everybody is pretty much fair game for a starting position at this point. Maybe Shedrick, probably. Shedrick Jackson's probably got a starting spot locked up. You're probably looking at a Landon King, doing a little bit of wide receiver tight end work as well. So there's the names we hear all the time: Javarius Johnson, Tavares Dawson. But Malcolm Johnson Jr. Yes, he kind of rose to the occasion in the spring game, but it's a spring game. You got to see it come to fruition a little bit more regularly than just a spring game. But yeah, so I have all the hope in the world for him and excitement to have him. I just want somebody to step up. That's all I want.
Yeah. How about Sean Jackson? He's good.
Deshaun Jackson. Oh, Sean Jackson. Yes, the running back who just got a scholarship. Yeah, he runs with the chip on his shoulder, a guy that's got something to prove. And I really like guys like that. They tend to be the ones you don't want to mess with. So
Hopefully I'll see you at a couple football games.
yes, I will be on campus a lot, and we will have to meet up, Kevin. So we'll make that happen. But thank you for calling in tonight.
War Eagle. Bye.
War Eagle, Kevin. All right. You guys can call in too, just like Kevin. Take advantage by hitting that link down below. See, I don't bite that hard. That's a terrible joke, and I do it every time. But anyway, we will continue to press on. Let me backtrack a little bit to go through some of y'all's comments while I was hanging out with Kevin for a minute. You guys call in if you'd like. My understanding, Dusty says, is that we have a shooting guard lined up if Phillips doesn't come to us. And that may be the case. You know, I would say this just because when I set the scenario up that I think we're done if Phillips doesn't come, I always leave room for that type of scenario. You always want to continue to build relationships because you don't know when someone can reclassify in basketball. You don't know when they're able to, you know, situations change, right? Someone could get hurt and you may need to fill a role. Heaven forbid that happens. I do tend to lean, though, that Auburn's roster, even if Julian Phillips doesn't commit tomorrow, it is done. I would actually argue, frankly, that there's more likely that the roster is not complete yet if Julian Phillips comes, because I think that creates interesting scenarios where guys might need to want to consider to go somewhere else. I think Devin was clarifying for us what time the announcement is. Okay, it's 3 Eastern time, which would be 2 Central time. I don't know what it is about 3 o'clock, but that seems to be when people want to announce their commitments or not. Some people seem to think several more guys were going to transfer out. I would say if Julian Phillips comes, then yes, I would say that's unfortunately very likely. And you can't blame the people with the environment that we now have of them being able to willy-nilly transfer out when the situation is not right for them. I'm not faulting them. I'm just understanding, even though I hate that situation. They got to do what's best for them. And if the opportunity is there, you wouldn't, if you think your chances are better somewhere else, it would be smart to take it. My understanding, a lot of understandings and thoughts tonight. My understanding is this: you go into transfer portal now, you have to set out a year. That is the way I understand it as well, Linda. I would concur with that. If we bring in one more guy, you'd like to see another big man, 6'11" or better. Yeah, it was nice having, Jabari and Walker next to each other, wasn't it? I think with Johan and Janai, I think that is pretty well covered. And yeah, so I do think they're going to be fine with the height. But, I'll take anybody that wants to be here. Do y'all think Auburn basketball will be better than they were this year? It's a great question for the whole group. You all may answer that. Devin has taken the opportunity to do so. She says yes. Those type of questions this far out are really hard to truthfully and, knowingly answer. I like the way we were placed, who we lost. I like how so far we've kept the rest of the team minus Devin Cambridge together. I like the way the schedule is lining up, even the preseason schedule with the whole Israel trip. I think there are more pieces laid down, more track laid down for this team than there was for the team coming in. There was track, and it was Jabari driving the train on the track, but we didn't know how everybody else was going to fit into that puzzle. This year, we've got a really good idea how everybody fits with that puzzle. And I just wonder, when you lose a talent like Jabari, not just a talent, a leader like Jabari, how that changes things. So we'll see. I would say, do I think they'll be better than next year? I can't frankly, I don't even want to entertain that as much because I think that's a disservice to both. If I say yes, then that's me not having a lot of facts to back that up. But if I say no, that's me removing the possibility that they can be. And I know it's just an opinion thing, but it's a real hard question to answer. Can't be asking us these deep, thought-provoking questions tonight. Dusty said Auburn Live said they're doing Tuesday nights after night. Well, that's great. Gets a little crowded on Wednesdays. Anyway, but I'm sure they do good work over there too. Let's see. Is Phillips headed to Tennessee? King Eric asks. King Eric, last I heard, the momentum has seemed to shift towards the G League. Now, a lot of that was just because he said he was going to be meeting with G League officials today. That doesn't mean that he said, yes, I'm coming. It could have been to say, I'm not coming. You'd think that's covered in a phone call, but that's what I indicate. I don't know. We're going to find out tomorrow at 3 Eastern time. Let's see. Need to see the roster filled out before I can answer that. Going back to that question that was answered earlier. No, I would actually say that, where the roster stands right now, let's just assume that that's what it's going to be. I think everything I was making my statements based off the roster being where it currently is moving forward. I think we've got a promising future ahead of us, but I don't want to put those expectations out there until I see how they roll across the tracks they're being laid there. But you guys continue to share your thoughts and your opinions. And if there's another topic that you guys want to move in a direction on, we can discuss that as well. So don't be shy to take advantage of the call-in line or changing up the topic a little bit. I heard Missouri got a 7.5 guy from Western Kentucky. Oh boy. I will submit this to you if you're worried about that. I feel like there's this barrier where if you are like above 7.1, and I know Walker Kessler 7.1, so it's easy for me to say that now. But there's some kind of like proportional, I don't know what you want to call it, matrix, where if you are 7'1", and that's like the limit of you being able to like your body being matched up with your height, your muscle tone. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It just seems to me like once you go beyond that height, there's fewer and fewer people who actually were great. Their height was great. It's really hard to block shots. It's really hard off of them. It's really hard to stop them from blocking your shots. But outside of that, so I wouldn't be so worried just because the guy's tall. Taco Fall, who's in the NBA now, I believe, who was at UCF, he was one of the last ones I can remember that was that type of height and good. You think of, Shaq. You think, Shaq was 7'2". Yao Ming, with Sean Bradley, names like that. Corey says, when do regionals start? Now, you got to be specific during the crossover season, as the Auburn SIDs call it. Are you talking about golf? You talking about tennis? You talking about baseball? If regionals for softball will start next week, and baseball regionals will start. So it's Alabama this weekend, Kentucky, SEC tournament, regionals. So you're 4 weeks away, essentially. Do you think Phillips will have the same impact as Jabari Smith if he comes to Auburn? From what I understand about Julian Phillips, is he's a little bit different of a player than Jabari. So if we're going to talk about that in the context of does he have the same type of impact? I think personally, these are good questions. I don't think he has the same type of impact, but that doesn't mean that he can have as good or better of an impact. It's just really hard to have a guy like Jabari Smith with that talent be so dominant, but so humble and such a great leader as a freshman at the same time. And I just don't know Julian Phillips that way. I don't know Yuan Traore. I don't know Janai Broom well enough yet that I can make those assumptions about them. The newest guys, the big guys coming and replacing all this. If Julian Phillips comes. So if he were to come, I think the potential is there for him to have as big an impact. I just don't know that it will be the same, I guess. Corey, so I gave you both of those, so I hope that clears it up for you. Regionals next week. Baseball is 4 weeks away, roughly. 2, 3 and some change. It'd be great to sweep Alabama this weekend. It absolutely would. It'd be sweet just from the simple fact of sweeping Alabama. But we need to. We really need to. Keep smashing that like button if you haven't done so already. Share it out. Let's keep getting the audience up there. It's one of our bigger crowds that we've had of late. And I mean, we've seen hundreds on here before, but I know summers are one of those times everybody kind of chills out on Auburn stuff for a little bit. If we get Phillips, we could have 3 guys go in the first round next year. You absolutely could. I would argue that if Alan Flanagan turns it around, as he was showing he's capable of in his sophomore year, he could be a 4th one. So you're talking about Juwan, you're talking about Julian if he comes, you're talking about Ncaa. Alan Flanagan is very much in that category as well. I know that's not a lot of people want to accept that. Not a lot of people see it that way, but it's the truth that you can potentially have 4 go in the first round or the NBA draft. I think where Alan stands right now, he'd have to have the most amazing season of any basketball player to get in the first round. But if 109-yard kick return to beat Alabama and the Iron Bowl is possible, anything is. You're going to hear me say that a lot. All right, quick little question for you guys. It's a little bit off topic and more about business stuff here on the E2C network. I would love to have your opinions. And I meant to ask this to the Booster Club first. And I still want to get some of you guys' thoughts too. Some more specific thoughts later on, but you've noticed that I've been doing some more of I've only done 2 of them. I'm calling it the Ever 2 podcast. A little play off of Ever to Conquer, our namesake here. A little short video essays or video podcast. You can watch them here. Listen, if you like those type of things, let me know. Might still do them. People want those type of things happen more often. We're just some of the things that we're working on here in the summer is to give you guys, outside of our live streams, reaction shows where big news happens and, game reactions for basketball and football, and then kind of series recaps that we've been doing for baseball and softball. I want to give you guys some more regular content. And, I put those videos out when big things happens. Like if Julian Phillips commits tomorrow, we'll do a special video about breaking down what he means for the program, those type of things. But if you like those, please let me know. If you don't, if you think they're stupid, let me know too. I mean, I can take the criticism. I would love to know what you want out of this channel. Let's see. Devin, Saul Harson went to the regional champions. It's regions champions, I believe. I don't think it's the regional champions. Golf tournament today. His PR person is on the ball. All joking aside, good to see him out there building relationships. It really is. And it truly, I hate that it had to happen in these circumstances to force him to kind of get out of his shell a little bit. But I think it's a good thing, right? Hate that's the way it happened, but this has been very much needed, him to be out front, making sure that, he's being seen, engaging with the public. And this is the SEC. This isn't, the WAC. What they're not called the WAC anymore. The Mountain West. Is the WAC still even the Western Athletic Conference? Does that still even exist? I think it does. Maybe it's got to still, because I can't even remember anymore. Anyway, yeah, I saw those videos too. I completely forgot that was today. I'm used to it being on a Friday. I think it's when it usually is. So that kind of threw me. Or was it always on a Wednesday? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was the regions, but you see every Auburn coach, Alabama coach, some other Southeastern-based coaches come do this all the time. So it's a good thing. Just go work on your golf game, smile, and shake some hands, hug some necks, all that kind of stuff. I say it's real easy, but I know there's things he'd rather be doing, but it is important. King Eric, Bruce is on a roll recruiting. 2 6'10" guys are visiting next month. Bay Falls. Is he related to Taco Falls? No, I'm kidding. And Diop. Diop's another name you hear a lot, and I don't think that they're related. I'm forgetting the guy's name from the NBA, something Diop, who had a little bit of a kind of rise in career for a little bit. But that's a name that I associate with, big guys and big, tall guys. But, he is definitely on a recruiting role when you have the security of locking him in to a lifetime contract, of the commitment toward the facilities and the consistency with which he is performing. His teams are performing. It's really easy to get guys like that to come say hello and potentially commit. Corey says, I would rather see Harsin at Greystone Regions Golf Tournament than NASCAR. Hey, everybody's got their things, right? Listen, I am not one to sit down and watch everybody make a left turn, everybody make a left turn, everybody make a left turn, everybody make a left turn. But I'm also not one to really sit down and enjoy golf either. And there are some baseball and softball games where it's kind of like, as much as I love the game, it's a little boring too. So people feel that same way about some other sports. I just want him being out there doing things, taking opportunities to do things to get Auburn out there in front of the public. Sell the program. Yes, the WAC does exist. I thought so, and they are still WAC. Why am I doing so many bad dad jokes tonight? I thought they still existed, but I thought they had kind of folded into the Mountain West essentially. But here I stand. I think Bay Falls and Taco Falls are actually brothers. I don't, maybe I'm wrong, King Eric, but I think it's Taco Fall. It's not Taco Falls. I was just joking on that one. If you'll look that up for us and let us know, I don't think that they are, but there does seem to be like this unique group of names that you see circulating around basketball all the time. Diop's one of them. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on a couple others. I was actually thinking about this the other day when I saw the name Diop potentially visiting Auburn. So that's interesting. He is definitely hot on the recruiting trail. And just because you are wrapping up this year's team doesn't mean that the process doesn't continue to roll on and you don't need to start making headways after that. The interesting thing is, with the situation we find ourselves in is that we have less and less room for people without getting rid of people. So that means, if the hype is as real about Yohan and Julian, if he comes, and Janai, maybe they're all gone. That's 3 spots right there. You're going to have a couple of seniors in Allen, Chris, I believe, more maybe. So you got to clear some room for them as well. Bay's last name is Fall, not Falls. Well, there we go. So maybe they are. If it was Falls, I was like, that's not the same last name. But maybe they are related. It would be cool to see another fall. Take the fall for Auburn. Gosh, Kyle, stop it. What are you doing? That's awful. Yeah, I would love to have him here if they decide that that's what they do. And if they see that window opening, right? We talked about people needing to leave to have those spots open up. It's very possible that Janai and Yohan, who are here already, will decide to leave after this year if they have a great year, if Auburn has a great year. Thank you for that clarification, Julie. Where's everybody feel at on football recruiting right now? I feel like I'm going to stir Dusty up on this one. Braxton, I think his name is. I think he's scheduled to announce his commitment on Monday. So that may be one to pay attention to. I haven't heard anything like that. It does feel like that Auburn's kind of due for one with only a defensive back and a offensive lineman so far. But I would say to folks that we have just gone over the midway point of the evaluation period in the summer, which means that, there's usually not a lot of, I say that, and then you see a lot of news. It's not probably the most lucrative time for receiving commitments. And do you want a kid committed this early? Sometimes you do. You want those guys that are pretty solid to you to go ahead and commit, to start filling up your numbers and recruiting for you officially. But I think sometimes it's a good thing for some of these higher profile guys, to wait so they can't be stolen or lured away. It used to be just recruiting pitches. Now it's NIL pitches and everything else that's been going on. with that stuff, because that just makes college athletics so much fun, doesn't it, everybody? As I talked about in 2 days ago in that episode of Ever the Podcast, it's one of those evils that we let out of Pandora's box, and it's going to be really hard to put back in. Thomas, rumor of a Georgia player coming in on our O-line, not confident though. Yeah, I think those rumors are fun to entertain. But for me personally, I don't put a lot of stock into them until they actually happen, or saying things really seem to be leaning the right direction. It's kind of like with Julian Phillips, right? Once Yuan committed, I was like, Julian's not coming, but if I get whiff of something, then I'll start getting on that bandwagon. And I started to, and then it seemed like the indication was that G League may be the way he goes, but we'll find out. Dusty, Bama has 3 commits, long way to go. Guys are dropping lists right now, and we are usually on those lists, which is a great perspective to have, Dusty. So you are seeing, and not that we've fallen off from being on people's lists, quote unquote, but the fact that with all that we've gone through, we are still finding ourselves on the list. That's, several times that players are getting our name out there that they want to be potentially a part of this program. It's all part of God, I hate this word, the process of college athletics. We got 2 so far, Joyner, inside linebacker, and Love. Yes, I thought I had that correct. Thank you for clarifying. I know that safeties and cornerbacks are completely different. I played one safety, but I backed up at safety. But yeah, I would like to see us, it seems like the running back out of Montgomery Catholic, I'd like to go ahead and get him locked in if we could, kind of secure that spot. I don't know that we're going to have a big time quarterback commit, but it feels like we could be using some things in some certain areas to get some momentum rolling for Auburn. Real quick, turn of topics here. We'll keep shifting back and forth. Softball was today. Unfortunately, they got beat out in the first round, which you would expect 10th overall in the seeding for the SEC tournament. So they did drop out. And so I think they're still good enough. I'm pretty sure their record last time we looked at it was good enough to make NCAAs. So we'll wait and see there. Also today, if you didn't know, women's golf is in the NCAA championships. Now it's a little bit different than like it's you and one team, but you're in the final group. It's kind of like gymnastics. So it's like the 5th year in a row I think they've done that, which is incredible. Got that program. Coach Llewellyn's got that program running really nicely. Corey says, back to football recruiting, I want the entire focus to be on the offensive line. Well, yeah, and I think you are going to see a lot of that focus after this year. You're going to have to by necessity. My biggest pitch to everybody is don't get so hung up on the stars and the ratings stuff. Just get the bodies in right now and get them the coaching that they need. Tommy Tuberville made a living out of turning 2 stars into 5 stars at every position. And there's no such thing really as a 2-star anymore. That we need to be focused on getting the right guys for the right time at Auburn and not just getting the big names, because we did that for a time. And here we are. Daryl, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. One of our channel members. Thanks for hanging out with us, sir. Also just read an article of where Bay, the names just write themselves, but everybody's going to be calling him Bay if he comes, was dismissed from Denver Prep Academy for a violation of team rules and conduct of concern. Hopefully he is growing up since this happened, if we are considering. I'm going to put myself into the mind of a 17, 18-year-old kid, because I was one. As much as my hairline may show, it's been a while. It hasn't been that long. My experience being once that age, young, full of energy and testosterone guy, probably didn't accept it the way that you really wanted him to, but what he does in the coming days, in the coming weeks and months, when he finds a new home, is what will determine who he really is. Not one mistake now. So, but that's definitely a cause for concern, Julie. Corey, Jeremy Cobb is the dude from the Gump. Yes. there's so many of these names that you have to remember that are actually on our program's teams, and it's tough to keep them all together, let alone the other ones as well. I'm hoping we can land Roderick Robinson, big running back out of California. One of the things that is continuing to be undervalued and underrated is Harson's ability and connections out west, and Auburn going to get some of that talent. I hope that continues. The longer he is here, the less those connections become as strong. But I think it would be very much in the benefit of Auburn right now to get some of those players from out that way while they build themselves back up in the Southeast. It's hard to break into the stronghold that Alabama, that Georgia seem to have. Then you throw in, competing with Florida and even Florida State, as bad as they've been in Clemson. And Tennessee sometimes when they're not throwing McDonald's at people and other things. It's a tough world out there. It is a tough world in the recruiting in the SEC. All right, don't be shy. If you'd like to, please do call in to the show. I just noticed that I got real blurry. I don't know why. It's really weird. Okay, I hope that fixed it. I've noticed that a couple of times. I do some other live streams as well, not Auburn related, and this is a great camera setup that I've gotten, but I think it is, but sometimes it's a little weird. Carmelo English, wide receiver from Phoenix City, Alabama. He's hot on the list. Don't forget the importance of cleaning up in your backyard. We did that with Braden Joyner. You want to clean up in your backyard. If you don't handle, hometown stuff, your regional stuff, don't let them come in there and take your people. Don't. You're talking Opelika, Auburn, Phoenix City, Columbus. You're talking Troup County, Georgia. You're talking, up, kind of 280 way, Montgomery. Auburn should be handling their business in these areas. Doesn't mean that you're going to get everybody. It doesn't mean you want everybody, but make sure you take care of your own backyard. All right. Speaking of football, I had this thought yesterday. We ended our losing streak at LSU under Harsin. Could he help us do the same against Alabama? Y'all don't be negative and just think on it. You have been spending way too much time on Twitter if you have to put that response at the end of it. These are the things that, like, when I'm making titles for videos and stuff like that, I instantly just take a guess on who's going to be the one to make the snarky comment about the title or the question posed and how quickly it takes. And like, ding, 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 you're the winner. You don't have to be that person. You're not that. You don't have to be that guy, that girl. It can't be that, bring you that much joy. Anyway, I would say that, yes, we have a losing streak and that is 2 years. So I really don't think that it plays the same way, Devin, but I would love for him to beat Alabama next year. He almost did it in year 1. Saved his job, probably. As much as certain people didn't want him to be part of it, apparently. Wilkin Formby, offensive tackle from Tuscaloosa, is hot on the list. Let's make sure they don't take care of their backyard. Do we want some from Tuscaloosa? I'm just kidding. Yes, we do. We absolutely will take anybody, especially those of you that are stuck in the dumpster fire that is that area of Alabama. Neil, good to see you, my man. What's going on? Good to see you. Smiling avatar, not your face. I would really like to end our losing streak at Georgia. That's one I would say, Devin, we would really need to focus on. We haven't scored more than 10 points in the game in Athens since we scored 21 in 2009. That is a horrible stat. It is, but it also speaks to how dominant they've been on defense during that time. And you can't take that away from them. It is very much a factor of us not performing well, but it is also the same token, them having good defenses. And last year is clearly a testament to that. Beating Georgia. Listen, we've talked about this a lot lately on this channel, this concept of Auburn fans being so obsessed with Georgia more than Alabama almost these days. And I live in Georgia. Neil lives in Georgia. So we kind of get that. But for me, it's always going to be Alabama. But when you're talking about things like football, it makes a lot of sense that that's where our focus is, because that's where the biggest or the most important losing streak is now. Neil's been busy coaching his son. He hit his first home run last night, hoping he can get a full ride to Auburn. Hey, we're losing Sonny to Shara. We need a new hitter. At Alabama. I just thought you meant in general. Yes. That would be a great. See, this is what happens, Devin, when I don't read things fully. I did not understand the assignment. My apologies. Larry, good to see you. I didn't know you're in there, sir. King, who is the backup guard Auburn may go after if we don't get Phillips? It was discussed earlier, but no one has said. Yeah, I forget who that was that brought that up. Was it Dusty? Dusty, I think it was you that said something about a guard being lined up if Phillips says no. Do you know who that is, or AKA, are you willing to share? You know, I'm a Gus fan, but I'll allow this. Gus had some jaw-dropping performances in Athens. A lot of coaches have had confusing, confounding. Well, not a lot. Chizik during the last part, and obviously Gus is the only one since then. Georgia's just not been, good to us lately. It used to be, people forget this. A lot of you forget this, that there used to be these trends that happened. In the Auburn LSU game, the home team used to always win. Texas A&M, the home team, the away team always used to win. We broke that in 2017, 18, something like that, and it finally started just being whatever. It used to be Georgia and Auburn, the away team always won. That's the craziest thing. Auburn seems to, I disagree with that, Neil. Auburn, the school, the team may have, but the fans have not. Coach Dye had their number. Well, when you're the Georgia guy, right, you need to have their number. Gosh, I missed that, man. It's I don't mean to get all sappy here tonight, but gosh, I miss Pat Dye. I know he wasn't super out in front with the program and everything like that, as much as he was when he was in better health and younger, but I just hate knowing he's not there. I said it. It makes me sad. I miss Mark Rick. Yeah, we joke on Mark Rick because we were able to beat him more, but at the same time, I miss Mark Rick because he, from every account that I understand, is a good man. First down, hands off at the middle. I knew we were going to get some people start commenting when we start giving people an opportunity. Never mind. First down, hands off at the middle. The 2006 Georgia game still haunts me. It was our best chance to win in Athens, and we only scored 7 points. We're bringing up old memories here. Athens is a toilet that needs to be flushed every 2 years. Well, it needs to be flushed every day, to be honest with you. If you live here, you know, right, Neil? All right. Listen, this isn't going to be the Gus bash hour. This is not what this is about. None of that, okay? If y'all want us to move on from him, let's move on from him. I'm all choked up about it. Excuse me. But y'all are making me laugh. I actually do miss the Wildcat and the craziness that it was when we had the right person to be able to run the Wildcat. All right. So we've hit basketball recruiting is where we started and where the roster was at. We've hit a little football recruiting, how much we hate Georgia. We've mentioned golf, softball, and a little bit of baseball as well. And I'm trying to think if there's any other major topics that we haven't gotten around to, but kind of before we start circling back to some of these things. So if you guys have something that we haven't hit yet on our Wednesday night show, go ahead and do that, because we're moving towards the tail end of our show time here that we normally stay for, but we still got plenty of minutes left to discuss these things. How about that win for baseball last night? This is the problem. Those type of games, I get so happy about it, but then they become so boring. Now, I know that Troy eventually scored some runs. Was it 11-4 last night? Gosh, we could not miss last night. It's what the team needed in terms of the pitching rotation to happen. You wanted to get out in front and, give the guys that we're going to need for the weekend some rest. When will you talk about hockey and fishing? First of all, we've done a hockey podcast, courtesy of Dusty, who's been here. I hope you listened to that one. And, the fishing guys, I've thought about some of these things. I know that we can talk about it here on the live shows whenever we want. I know that I preach about the whole of the Auburn experience. You're going to see us kind of emphasizing that more here soon. I'm going to try to get some of those like interviews and stuff like that with people that we don't normally talk to. But, I'm just going to pull the curtain back for you guys because you're my little family, the Auburn family. You have to kind of balance the things that play well on YouTube and podcasts versus with the ones that don't. And those things don't, unfortunately. And so you kind of have to pepper them in as best as you can. So we're going to continue to push the whole of the Auburn experience here. But the things that make you guys comment, like, come back, it's the things that we spend a lot of our time on. So I do have to kind of focus on that. He does have a home run in 3 straight games. I forgot about that. He's getting hot at the right time. Bruce is the best basketball in the country. By the way, I put out a video this morning on one of our Everett video podcast series. Please check that out, talking about who has the best SEC arena, because someone put a ranking out on social media and I gave my opinions. Dusty gave his opinions as well. Devin, this cannot be overstated. Suni and Darian coming back, literally, like, one of them changes the trajectory of the year. Both this is Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith deciding to come back. I'm so excited for that. Let's see here. And we're getting a Olympian to come as well, on top of like Sophia Grow is coming back. Is Cassie Stevens coming? We're going to be good next year. So good. I know hockey. Tampa is not hockey. Let's see here. It's about time we need to win in Athens, Georgia. Athens, Georgia, we already won in Bacon Rouge. Bacon Rouge sounds delicious. Let's see here. News I am confident is that there will be a package for Robbie Ashford this season. I read that completely differently. I thought, like, what's he getting, like a care package delivered? I think it's smart to utilize your best athletes when you can. It's kind of what we tried to do with come on, Kyle. What was his name? The big 300-pound guy that moved like lightning. He was just here and he just went to Ole Miss. I can't remember his name. Let's see here. Podcast was good this morning. Those were awful rankings from the SEC basketball. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. If you guys enjoy those type of things, I'm going to continue to do them. And I know I'm asked, it sounds like I'm pandering for likes and stuff like here, but I cannot stress this enough. If you guys want those things to continue, I do ask that you do smash the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, even if it's just War Eagle. That's the stuff that helps me make the decisions on what is working, what is not, because you have seen me experimenting a little bit with stuff here. So if it is something that you want to continue, please do support it by just liking it, and stuff like that. Auburn basketball needs last 5-star to win the Natty. I don't necessarily agree with that, Josh. I think they can win a Natty with who they have right now. 5 stars do not mean national championships. Ask Kentucky how often that's working out for them. Not as often as you think. We get a lot of the variety of comments. I asked for like all the comments and opinions now, and they're all coming in. So you get what you asked for. So I'm having to like bounce around to a lot of different things. I love this though. I love when you guys are giving all these comments. Let's see here. Suni and Darian are both coming back and supposed to have another name coming. The individual I was talking about was going to UF and they pulled her scholarship after the injury. Let's see here. Trying to bounce around a lot here. It's getting difficult though. The only gymnast not coming back that actually competed this year is Drew Watson. And we're going to miss Drew. Drew was, I kind of considered her part of the trio that was so dominant. Suni, Darian and Drew. Drew, especially because she was a senior. JJ Pegues, because he looked like a Pegasus, because he was oddly graceful. A Pegasus, is like a horse with wings, you'd think. That's kind of odd, but it was oddly graceful. So I called him a Pegasus. WD for life. I found you. I'm home. Good. Glad you're home here. Let's see here. Tom Brady will be an announcer. I feel like there's a conversation going on now that I'm not a part of, which I love that happens here. But it's the thing that I've learned about myself that I have to be better about. Watching other, not Auburn YouTubers, is that I have to be careful wanting to get to everybody's comments, but sometimes those comments are for me, But I just love interacting with you guys. But sometimes I love that you guys have your own little conversations. Kyle, if you start talking Auburn croquet, I think I'll think about leaving. Don't put it past me. Corey, do not put it past me. I mean this when I say Auburn is best viewed as the whole of the Auburn experience. If it is Auburn, if it is orange and blue, it is what we do. Places we are cursed: Georgia for football, Kentucky for basketball. No, actually, I don't think we're as cursed anymore with it. We've beaten them recently there. Florida for basketball. That I think so, yes. I would say, where is it in baseball? We haven't won. Well, we won an LSU, kind of broke a streak there. So that's over. Yeah. Which football transfer hurts you the most? I'll start. Sean Shivers. Transfer. I'm going to say it, but it's going to get everybody stirred up. Bo Nix. Y'all, I know that I can already feel the typing starting right now. That's the one that hurts the most. Not saying that our quarterbacks here won't be great, may not even surpass him, but right now, that's the one that hurts the most. If you want me to, you're probably looking at, I thought Tennyson was going to be sticking around, which tells me that he probably wasn't going to see as much time as I thought he would, but I thought he was kind of moving up the ranks. We got a Tampa debate going on in the chat now. I can't even keep up what's going on. We haven't beaten Kentucky in Lexington since 1986. Okay, thank you for clarifying. This is the great thing about having you guys here. I swear we had beaten them there recently. Josh, how many wins do you think Auburn gets in this upcoming year for football? This is like the most popular question we're getting these days, and I definitely will do like a prediction show, but or show video. I'm going to wait for an official one. I've kind of just started with what I always start with, the expectation for Auburn in the SEC, considering what they deal with. It should be 8-4. So that's where I'm going to start. That's kind of where I was at and I actually backed off and said we were only going to get 7 wins. And then I got hyped with the season coming and said, no, we're going to get, 8 wins. And I was wrong, way wrong. Let's see here. This is going to get, we're bringing up all the topics that are going to get everybody upset, but this is a UCF fan, so we'll entertain it. What's your prediction for Gus at UCF this year? Well, let me go ahead and cue what everybody else is going to say. Loser sucks, all that stuff. Never mind. I'm going to stop being mean. I don't know. Listen, I love Gus Malzahn with all my heart. Think he is an outstanding coach. Cue the people that disagree. But I haven't followed him and what you guys are doing at UCF. I think he's in about as good of a situation as he can be. Your guy at athletic director, you're in Florida where all that talent is. You've got the rest of the state is basically struggling to stay afloat with allegations and coaching changes. It's a good time to be Gus Malzahn. So my prediction for Gus is 9 to 10 wins for you guys. You'll probably lose your out of conference games, the big ones that you play. Let's see here. 8-4. Actually, I miss Pat Dye. We all miss Pat Dye. Dusty says it's a long way out to guess football wins. who knows how many players will come and go before the start of the season. It brings up a thought, Dusty, at a recent ambush event, which is the alumni associations, where they go around to the different ones, especially regionally, to meet. The major coaches do, as many that can come to meet with fans and alumni and boosters and stuff like that. It was brought up, the conversation about how nobody transferred out after A-Day, and Coach Harsin said he wasn't surprised at that. And frankly, I wasn't surprised either. I think a lot of the guys that were unhappy with what they were with Auburn, their opportunities and all that kind of stuff, had moved off. The only thing that I could have saw happening was somebody at quarterback saying, I don't like my chances, I got to go somewhere else. And thankfully they did. But yeah, well, there's still probably will be some more after midway through fall camp, if not before then. Devin's kind of talking about what I say. Has Gus's wife fully recovered? Last I saw, she was like at events. So yes, if you guys don't know, this is somebody's medical history, so I don't know anything about this. My understanding is she got COVID, complications arose because of that, and it got kind of dicey for her. But my understanding is that she posted a picture saying fully recovered, all that kind of stuff, and it was a little more serious than I think people were aware of at the time. So glad that she's seems to be doing better. Now I will take exception. No, I'm not going to go down the road. I'm not going to. You guys are going to get me in the Gus hate train. No, that's not going to happen. Let's see. I thought Davis would have went somewhere more prominent than ASU. I thought he would have gone to somewhere in Texas. Because did you know that he was in Texas? Did you know that he was the most prolific high school quarterback out of Texas in quite some time? I could like literally verbatim quotes people's comments on videos and stuff when that came up. Why hasn't he started? He was the most prolific quarterback in Texas history. And listen, he was and probably still is. And I wish this guy nothing but the best. I'm happy that he found a place. I think he will do very well at ASU if he's half as talented as we think he is. I am surprised that he didn't go back home to Texas. I think I thought at one point there were rumors that he was going to commit to Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners, and which would have kept him in orange and blue. And you might have seen me be a little mini Roadrunners fan. I think just me reading into this comment and this question and stuff, and I'm not saying this is you, Corey, but there's a lot of people that had this grandeur idea that Demetrius was somehow automatically better than everybody else. Now, maybe he is. And if that's the case, I hate that we didn't have an opportunity for him here. But I think I try really hard to be very measured in my comments about players, even former players, unless they're just doing Auburn dirty. Then you're done. Stanley McGlover. I just think that kind of shows you where he's at in his progression in his career. Anyway. All right. I'll take a few more comments and questions. I am going to close down the phone line, though, for tonight, just because I won't be able to have time for any more calls. But thank you to Kevin who called in earlier. Good to hear from you, buddy. Let me take a few more of your comments and questions here at the end. So get them in rapid fire. A couple reminders for you. If you haven't, please do make sure that you smash the like button, but check out some of the links in our description for things that you can get involved with. The Booster Club, which is over at patreon.com/E2C Network. Some of our fine folks here are already part of that, starting at $1 a month. You can get different perks and things like that in there. I got some things I'm going to be sharing with y'all in there pretty soon. It does help keep the lights on. But if you don't want to go over there and you still want to financially support it, there's a new way you can do it here on YouTube. Well, one of the ways is becoming a Booster Club member. Hit the join button. You get the icons next to your name, access to the emojis to use during the chat. Easier for me to see all that kind of stuff. But now, especially on edited videos, at the bottom, there's like a little dollar button thing. You can it's the same thing like when you do a super chat here if you want to donate. It's not required for you to be here and for me to care about you anymore. But it is something there. If you feel led to do so, please take advantage of that. So check out the links in the description for ways you can help support us and things you can get involved with. You guys are the best little family in our family. All right, rapid fire. Let's go. Who's the starting quarterback for Auburn this year? Big question again, Joss. I will give more clarification about that later. I think right now it is a tie between Robbie Ashford and TJ Finley, simply because Zach is not healthy yet. Well, as far as I know, fully healthy yet. Penn State, the only out-of-conference game for Auburn this year, and that will be at home. Only out-of-conference. Well, there's lots of out-of-conference games. There's 4 of them. Right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. They're all at home. Josh Calzada, who's that? We'll start because I think he'll beat out TJ when he gets healthy enough for full practice. Maybe so. We'll see what happens. Bo will not be the starting quarterback at Oregon. He made a huge mistake. We shall see. We shall see. My biggest encouragement for people is this. Stop with the Gus hate. Stop with the Bo hate. They're still Auburn Tigers. Gus is part of our history. Bo is part of our history. He's a graduate. You shouldn't be, personally, this is my opinion, you shouldn't be dogging them and wishing for them not to start and wishing for them for him not to succeed. Let's be better than that. Let's actually live out the Auburn creed. Sorry, I'm going to get on my soapbox. You guys did it to me. Come on, Kyle, say it. We're all friends here. I don't hate Gus. I just didn't agree with the attitude. I have some thoughts on that. What you guys were talking, I saw y'all's discussion back and forth in there. I disagree with the takes on that, but I don't have time to discuss that tonight. But I know you guys are having fun. All right. Let me roll. Will Tank Bigsby have a 1,000-yard year? Should. Willie? Depends on the offensive line. Tennessee fans are saying that the NIL deal is better, that their NIL deal is better than Auburn for Julian Phillips. Auburn couldn't match, and we will see. He'll announce for Tennessee tomorrow. Maybe so. Regardless, we started off our conversation tonight with the fact that Auburn's roster may be done not officially, but for all intents and purposes tomorrow, regardless whether he commits or not. We will find out if he commits. You can expect a video from me. Please do check that out when that comes out. My plan is to continue to do some of those short form video podcasts where you can watch them here or over on the podcast app. So please check that out if you haven't, and hit the like button there. Leave a comment about the topic that I'm talking about. You guys continue to be the best family within the Auburn family. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, even though we always don't see eye to eye, because that's what makes us great. We're just a unique little crazy, hot orange and blue mess. And I love every one of you. So thank you guys for being here. Monday night, be here live, 8 p.m. We're going to talk baseball and softball. As long as their seasons continue, we may not have a softball season after that, because I think the regionals start. Well, actually, we'll get to talk about the SEC tournament next week. But 8 p.m. and then 8 p.m. next week. Stay tuned on the channel. You guys are always the best. Until then.